Hi, my name is Saul.
Hi, my name is Wendell Holland.
My name is Brandon Donlin.
Hey everybody, this is Mike Gabler, the Alligabler, coming to you live on Survivor Squared.
Survivor Squared.
Survivor Squared.
Survivor Squared.
Survivor Squared.
We know of him as a man. He talks about himself as he's a myth. And last night he became a legend. RizGod, RizGod, baby. Welcome to the latest episode of Survivor Squared. My name is Tony Squares. That's Bailey Buffs. And we're breaking down every single episode of Survivor Season 50. We have guests every Monday from the world of Survivor. And every Thursday, me and Bailey are here breaking down the episode, talking about our exploits, all the live parties we've gone to, because there's a myriad of them in Southern California, and we are jet-setting all over the place to get our faces out there, to go to all these live parties and have a blast during the biggest season in Survivor history. And if you want to meet us out there, if you want to follow along, give us a like, give us a subscribe, help this channel grow, because we could be having a giveaway very, very soon on this channel based on some of the people we met, some of the wonderful people we met at the watch parties we've been to. Bailey, there's people creating puzzles out there. There's people making Rubik's Cube formations that turn into a poster. There's people baking sweet treats out there to give out. We're having a blast. But Bailey, a lot to go on, a lot to talk about. How are you feeling this lovely Thursday morning? Zach Brown has left us behind.
Thank God. Oh my gosh. I would be so fine if I never heard his name again. It was so much fun. We got to go to, like you said, a second watch party, which was so exciting. Shaheen through that invited us. He was such a wonderful, gracious host. One of my favorite parts of last night was all the customized idols you could order too. I thought that was so cool. You could get anything you wanted customized on an idol. They looked so cool. And even those cookies with everyone's face on them. I took a photo of one that has Jeff and it just says the tribe has spoken. And I was like, I'm going to treasure this cookie for as long as I can before it goes bad. But it was just so much fun. Yet again, I know we've said this before, but just like getting to watch these episodes live in a room full of fans is just such a different experience. And it just adds so much to the camaraderie of it, to the community, to just like the excitement, you know, you can just feel it more. And so especially getting to watch a double elimination in a crowd of 300 people or whatever it was so much fun. I don't know about
300. It was definitely like $150.
Whatever.
Yeah, it was definitely $150. The place was packed. It was a blast. It was well out of the way of Los Angeles down in Costa Mesa, but we had a blast going down there, meeting everybody. And again, that's the thing that I can't get over. Like, I come from the world of sports. I think, you know, you're supposed to take a shot every time I say that on the podcast, but I'm used to going to NFL games, or the Dodgers are opening up later today. I'm used to going to baseball games and stuff like that. And that's part of the vibe, is not just watching it in front of your eyes, but also interacting with the fans around you, the oohing, the eyeing, the cheering, the booing. Like, that's the stuff that makes you really fall in love with the whole experience. And watching a television show, that's what Survivor is. It is a television show at the end of the day. Like, I couldn't imagine watching the Game of Thrones finale with a group of 150 people. I'm sure people do it. I don't know if I would enjoy that. Survivor, though, is extremely interactive, is extremely, like, people are, as you said, reacting all the time to it. And it is a blast every single time, because some people are fans of Charlie, some people are fans of Rizzo, and so when they go at each other, you're hearing the crowd root for their certain player that they want to see, and suddenly there's a tension, not only on screen, but in the room around you. It is such a fun experience to watch it all play out. And before I move on, before I put that butt out there, thank you, Shaheen, for having us down there. He runs a wonderful watch party. He's running a bunch more in Costa Mesa for the next few weeks here of Survivor Season 50. So if you're in the area, go down and have yourself a blast. It really is a community he's building down there in his pink fluffy jacket and his lovely, lovely, luscious beard that I'm very jealous of. It is a blast down there. But let's move on to breaking down the episode. Tribe by tribe, Bales. We had a double elimination, as you said. And before we get to what happened on this episode, they kind of gave away what the future is on the coming next week, where now we're down to 17 people. I think we're on day 12 entering the island, and we're entering into a merge, in air quotes, where all 17 people are on the same beach at the same time. Chaos is continuing to come because of how fast-paced, or I should say how slow-paced, the first few days on the island were. And now we finally got under 18, and we're starting to eliminate people left and right. So yes, a double elimination episode. We're going to get more multiple elimination episodes as we go. Overall, in the flow of things, though, how did you feel this double elimination episode was handled? Was it rushed at some points, or do you feel like you got equal time figuring out with both tribes what was going on?
No, I feel like we got decently equal amount of times in both tribes. I think also we've seen so much of Vatu, so if we didn't get as much of them necessarily, I wouldn't have been, I don't think I would have been heartbroken, but like I think it was very even, and I think both tribals were very up in the air. Like neither one did I feel 100% in my heart I knew who was going home, or even had a strong inkling towards it. I was very torn in both tribals of who was going to go, and like you said, so was the whole audience. I had women to my left voting for, rooting for one person. I had a group behind me rooting for the other person. I had just sassy comments coming from each side. So I thought it was handled fairly well, actually, with the split screen time. Yeah. I'm going to say this one more time. I'm so pissed we're still not getting much of Tiff, but I'm glad she got her moment this episode, and we will talk about that.
Let's jump right into her tribe, because they're the tribe that won the challenge. They did not go to tribal. Joe comes out and hits the sandbags at the end, but not before Tiff whips open those bags with a little lasso move. And this tribe is so much fun and so interesting that it stinks we don't get more of these people, because Coach giving out nicknames to everybody just at the beginning is like, that's the type of Survivor stupidity that I want to see. He's calling himself the Tide Walker and tells you exactly what that means. He goes to Joe and calls him, by the way, this is one of the worst nicknames I've ever heard, but the Stone Bell Monk. That's not a nickname. That's a full phrase. And then he goes to Colby and calls him the...
That's longer.
He calls him the Oak-Bound Warrior. I loved it. And this is the type of juice that Coach brings to a season. And Colby's sitting there like, thank you for knighting me, Coach. And Joe bows his head and is fully into it. I loved those little interactions. But what's bubbling here in this entire season is Aubry and Genevieve. It started off on the premiere. It was the weirdest scene of the premiere. Weird as in it didn't fit like the overall 3-hour mantra of like, everyone's happy to be here. Aubry and Genevieve were coming at each other from day one. And now they're sitting next to each other, and Genevieve goes, what day is it again? And Aubry goes, day 10, and makes a joke at, we've lasted 10 days together, Genevieve, we've done it. There is something there that they cannot get over. And because they've all never been to tribal, we haven't seen it play out yet. I am jumping at the chance to see who comes out on top of this, because until we get that, all the Coach, Colby, Joe, like, we need to see where all these guys lie. And Aubry versus Genevieve is the one battle that I need to see play out. We got Rizzo versus Charlie. Christian has been taking aim at all of the other people. It looked like it was going to be Christian versus Ozzy, but instead it was Christian versus David versus Goliath. I need to see the play out of Aubry v. Genevieve, and I'm hoping it comes next episode, Bailey.
I am too, especially if they're hinting maybe a merge ahead of us. I'm hoping that maybe then they'll kind of spread to more people, and we'll get more of we'll get the tension come to more of a head. But I also was very curious. I mean, I thought it was interesting, Aubry really trying to extend an olive branch to Coach and really going to him and being like, okay, I see the dynamics of this tribe, and I have to swallow my pride, and I got to go kiss ass to the Dragon Slayer. And she certainly did, but I had a really hard time in that moment kind of decoding how Coach actually felt about it, because it seemed genuine, and it kind of seems like Coach in the moment was like, yeah, okay, I'd work with Aubry. But again, we don't see enough of this tribe. I don't know the dynamics of Coach and Genevieve. I don't know that relationship. I don't know if he and Aubry have had other conversations that maybe this is genuine and Coach is willing to work with her. So I agree with you. Like, there's so many what ifs and so many little seeds planted in this tribe that we have just not gotten to see grow at all. And I think that will come with some type of merge or some type of tribe swap. I mean, it's gotta, right? I mean, it seems like that tribe has been so untouchable.
It is interesting, that scene in particular, Aubry coming to Coach and saying, Coach runs this tribe. Coach is the one I need to get to in order to get to the other people. Because if you look at Coach's history, that has kind of been the theme of his entire run here. His first season in Tocantins, he's running against Steven and JT until Steven, JT, and Coach get together, but Coach is running his little unit, and Coach is the one that you need to go to in order to get them on your side. Heroes versus villains, he tries to do that, but just gets bowled over by Russell and everything else going on. And then in South Pacific, he has a cult. Like he starts a cult on an island out there in the woods and runs South Pacific till the very end. And Aubry is sitting there going, I could be Sophie. I could come in here and just be on Coach's side, but inevitably strike from behind here. And I'm wondering if that's the run we're going to get out of Aubry and Coach, or if Coach is smart enough to realize what is going on. Because I do believe he thinks Joe and Colby are together, honor, integrity. We're going to do this the old school way. Like, I do believe all three of them think that way. And I do believe if they wanted it, they would have a final three of those three. Maybe Jonathan's in there, whoever. Like, they believe they're not going to backstab each other. I don't know if they feel that same way about Aubry, and how could you? Aubry is very much a strategic and intelligent person that doesn't necessarily, on day 10, coming to you say, hey, I'm ready to play with you, Coach. That would send my warning signals going up. So is Coach smart enough to figure that out? Or does he believe this whole Tidewalker thing means he's going to be able to walk through everything around him? That little moment, Bailey, was probably the most interesting, future-telling moment of this entire episode, and I want to see how it plays out. What I'm saying to CBS and Survivor is, I need more Aubry, Genevieve, Coach. I need more from this tribe. I need more of what's going on. Going to the Vatu tribe with Christian and Ozzy and the rest of them, when Ozzy is flipping out at Christian and saying, I can't believe you blindsided me. I can't believe you left me in the lurch. And he's going through all these things. I haven't been blindsided for over a decade. It still hurts just as much as it was. And Christian says the line of the episode, how he opened wounds on Ozzy. And Christian is telling us, I remember now in South Pacific when Cochran blindsided Ozzy and how Ozzy reacted to that. Not only is Ozzy or Christian saying the same things to Ozzy that Cochran was saying, but he's standing and looking the same way. He also has a very similar build to Cochran as Ozzy's sitting there, and the edit kept cutting back and forth to it from South Pacific to today. It was beautiful, Bailey.
Yep. Oh yeah, they could have literally like faded into it, like metamorphosed those two faces together, and it would have virtually been the same. We've just had so many moments this season where it's like, this is the height of comedy in my brain. Like what these editors are doing is they're just sitting in a dark room being like, I have a bit, and it's brilliant.
Literally.
And it works
and it's playing
so
out.
well. Like,
genuinely, the storytelling alone that it's doing with those camera cutaways, it's taking people, I guarantee you, it's taking people who have not watched every season of Survivor, or maybe watched a few seasons and haven't been around in a bit, and you're locking back in. And if you've never seen Survivor and you're watching this, you're still getting the storyline behind these people. Because again, it's a full returnee season. They all have pasts. And Survivor has touched on this before. In Ghost Island, they had all of these idols and former things that happened in the past, and like, hey, can you can you get rid of the ghost that hurt this idol from the past, and can you use it successfully? And I thought that was such a genius way to hearken to the past of Survivor, yet use it in the gameplay right now. And then in Winners at War, they tried to tell those stories of all the past winners. Like Michelle was mad at how her season went, but all these people had won. So it's really like, how mad can you all be that you didn't? Like Sophie was mad. She doesn't think she have a strong win or whatever and wants to play differently. You won. Like, so you can't really hearken on the past here. This season, over and over again, it's Ghost Island 2, Bailey, because everyone here is battling the ghosts from their past seasons. Yes, we have winners like Kyle, like Dee, like Savannah, but we also have players on here, even Coach coming out in the beginning and talking with Ozzy about South Pacific. He's battling the ghost that Ozzy cost him a victory in his mind and how he has to change the narrative around that. Colby is coming out saying, the last time I was here, Coach bodied me in Heroes vs. Villains. I have to get back to being Colby. Joe, openly talking about how Kamilla and Kyle, who were on the island with him, played him for a fool. He's not going to let that happen again. Aubry coming out and saying how I was blindsided by somebody I didn't know. Now I'm scared of Genevieve because she reminds me of Victoria. All of these ghosts are coming up to play, and it came again with Ozzy getting blindsided and going, "You are Cochran," and Christian getting blindsided by Mike White and saying, "I'm getting Mike White out early." It's all coming back into play, and it's been beautiful to watch.
Absolutely. I think another big one that we left out there is the Charlie and Maria. It's the same thing. And I think that was ultimately his downfall about fighting those ghosts. I think that's what's so interesting. I think, in my opinion, how we're seeing Ozzy play this game is very different than how he has done it in the past. And I think that's very interesting to watch him, like you said, almost try to fight those same demons. But then on the reverse side, you're seeing people like Charlie trying to fight for their revenge story, fight those demons, and it's almost beating them and making them not play as well of a game. So it's interesting to see which players are kind of exacting that revenge story, that kind of like ultimate hero. I'm gonna have the retaliation, against my past self or against other people that have wronged me, versus the people that are letting that all consume them, and then they're not playing as strategically as they could have.
One of the first interviews we did on this channel was with Troy Zan, and he talked about how when he came back for Game Changers, there was a lot of people that came back in that game and really wanted to change what they did previously, and they changed it too much. They made too much of an alteration. With the players in Season 50, we're seeing some people try to change things a lot, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We don't know what's going to happen as we keep moving forward here, but we are seeing people come in actively seeing them from the past. Rick Devens even says it on camera about Rizzo. He says, you think you've done something, and then until you see the TV reaction, there might be people on that island giving a confessional going, this Rizzo guy's a moron. You don't know. You don't know how it's going to react. And so it's so fun to see all of these people come on and try to play a different way or a unique way and add on to their game. And then there's Rizzo, who played 9 days ago and is coming on with all this youthful bravado and saying, you know what, I played great in my first season. I'm just going to do it again now. It's a wonderful dichotomy of where these people are. But I don't want to get to Rizzo and Charlie too fast. I do want to say goodbye to Angelina because I thought it was a wonderful moment with Christian. Everyone's voting Angelina. Angelina throws a vote on Steph. As Angelina's leaving, she has to pause for a moment and she has to give her jacket back to the group. I thought that was very, very nice and very, very sweet. And I'm happy Angelina was there. I'm not sure if I would have cast her, but Bailey, you were a bigger fan of hers than I, maybe.
Oh, I wouldn't say that necessarily. I mean, I've always kind of felt indifferent towards Angelina, in all honesty. Like, I've never felt super drawn towards her, but I've never also felt like against her for any reason. I've always, like you said, like weird casting choice to me, because Angelina's kind of just always been there, in my opinion. Yes, she made a very good point when she was defending herself. She is a loyal player. That is how she's always been with her alliances. She is a number that will give you loyalty. But in a game of returning players where everyone is playing so hard and is hitting the ground running, I don't think that alone as your whole thing is enough to keep you here. I just don't think that's going to add any value, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, that was just a full circle tender moment, especially when she first got up there and she said to Jeff, I have to do something first. I immediately was like, what is she doing? And then she goes to open her bag and all that's in my head is, Natalie?
Yeah.
Natalie? And I started saying it out loud while we were watching it, which was probably annoying. But I loved that moment. I thought it was so cute that she's like, it's getting cold out here. You're going to need it. And the fact that she gave it to Christian was very sweet too, even though he turned on her. I liked that full circle moment. I was pretty shocked actually by the Angelina vote. Were you expecting that? I really was worried for Christian.
Again, this is why I am a little, not disappointed, but I'm nothing against Angelina. She's not a great game player. I know she made the final in her season, and I know she was brought back for 50 because for, CBS, real big fans. A better player would have gotten Christian out because it's not hard to paint not hard to tell the story about how Christian just came after Mike White and me, and he's so strategic and he has all these friends. It's not hard to whisper that into the ears of Stephanie and Emily and Ozzy. Emily will flip at the drop of a hat, and Ozzy is very easy to kind of make it seem like it's Ozzy's idea to come after Christian. He was already contemplating it all episode. So a better player would have gotten Christian out. Angelina, I wasn't surprised by that vote because she's just not that good of a player. And Christian ended up wrangling the votes against her because she had no friends left in this game. So Angelina's gone. And the second person who's gone is also someone that really let their past affect this game and made them play so poorly that it was so easy to vote them out. The most back and forth vote we've had yet was Charlie versus Rizzo. It was 4 votes for Charlie, 3 votes for Rizzo. A fantastic showcase of television suspense where they're going Rizzo, Rizzo, Rizzo. Just kidding. Here come all the Charlie votes. It was a real fun vote to watch. But this has been bubbling for a while. And Charlie came after Rizzo because Rizzo tells the story about how he was best friends with Sophie Bellardi, but in the end voted for Savannah. And Charlie couldn't let that go because of what happened with him and Maria. If I was Charlie, I'd be watching this back going, Rizzo didn't beat me. I beat me because I couldn't let this whole thing go.
Yeah. Yep. I fully agree. I mean, that was the overarching theme of Charlie's whole game was I think he said RizGod's name more than RizGod says his own name. I mean, Charlie couldn't keep Rizzo out of his mouth. Rizzo was living rent-free in Charlie's mind. Like, that is every confessional. He's bringing up Rizzo. Every time he's in a conversation with someone else, he's bringing up Rizzo. Like, that really got to him. So I think that's such a good way to put it of, like, you're right. Rizzo didn't beat him. Charlie beat him. Charlie got in his own way. He let his own past cloud his judgment, cloud his strategy in his mind. Because had Charlie just gone to Kamilla, and I guess he didn't necessarily know she was the middle vote, but like
anyone, he could have gone to Cirie. He could have gone. They got Rick.
Anybody.
Like they got Rick on their side. Jonathan is as, he's as easy to manipulate as any of them. So like Charlie has numbers. He just has to get all the numbers against Rizzo. And they had them not figuring that part of it out. Like Charlie, he was too blinded.
Well, I think that was one of my biggest issues with this episode on both tribes. I felt like both Angelina and Charlie didn't fight for themselves. Like we saw these confessionals with Angelina where, she's like, they might vote for me. We'll see what happens. As opposed to being like, okay, I got to go talk to this person. I got to talk to this person. And it was kind of the same with Charlie. It was almost just like, well, this is what's about to happen. We'll see. And it's like, you can't leave fate in the hands like that, just up to chance. Like you have to fight for your spot to be there. You are with the top strategists of this game. Like you can't just sit back and hope for the best. Like you all have shot in the darks. Like you have things to use. Why are we not even thinking about that or talking about that? Or maybe they are and we're not seeing it. But like, I was frustrated by the lack of urgency or the lack of like fight that was in both of those people that got sent home. So I do think the two correct people got sent home this episode, because I would have actually shed a tear if it was Rizzo and Christian that were going home. That would have been the entertainment factor of the entire season. Would have been out the window.
And Rizzo, he talks himself up. We have the same story that everyone seems to have with Colby, whether it's with Rizzo, whether it's Colby or whether it's other players. Like we've had Saul on this show, he said the same thing. Like Rizzo comes off, and your first impression is like this guy, and he walks the walk and talks the talk. He becomes so lovable, so endearing that he truly believes he is the man, the myth, the legend, and he's out there playing like it, and the bravado is nonstop, and you're sitting here going like, Rizzo, just keep it to yourself a little bit, buddy. And some people might start to get annoyed by this, and he doesn't care. He's like, no, I'm having a blast. I'm living the dream right now. I am playing with house money, and I got so much money to spend. I'm like, all right, kid, go for it. And his ability to get Dee, who, again, a very smart decision by Dee, because she realizes everyone's going to gun for Rizzo. Everyone's going to gun for me as the winner. Might as well make a tag team. Smart move by Dee. I don't know why she's going away from the Jonathan group. I would love to hear why she made that decision, but I get why she's pairing up with Rizzo. Them looping Kamilla in and Rizzo dropping the lie about Kyle, even though Kamilla kind of doesn't believe it. But the biggest one is Rizzo going, okay, I got Dee. I think I can get Kamilla. I need Cirie. And that pairing of one of the oldest players on this beach and the youngest player on this beach was something I want so much more of. I want to see like a buddy cop movie with Cirie and Rizzo. I think this pairing is so unique and so interesting. I want so much more of it. Both are from big cities. Like I just love this vibe between these two, and the fact that Cirie knows to not tell people your advantages, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite her. But Rizzo tells her, I have an idol. Cirie goes to him, I have an extra vote. We're in bed together now. And Rizzo getting all this done with a person who's won a game, Kamilla, was shown one of the most strategic minds on this beach, and then Cirie, probably the best Survivor player in my opinion ever. And Rizzo got all three of these ladies in with him in one episode, being the lone soldier on this beach after a tribe swap. It was an unbelievable Rizzo episode. Out of anything he did in 49, this right here was the best survivoring Rizzo's ever done.
And I think also we got one of my favorite quotes from Rizzo this episode, which was, I'm not a boy's boy. I'm not a boy's boy. He said, I love working with a strong, independent woman. I am not a boy's boy. And I thought that was so funny. I will say, just as a little bit of devil's advocate, because not to take away from Rizzo, I think agree with you fully. He did such a wonderful job solidifying his place in this tribe. I think he's in a really, really good spot with some really, really good allies. He didn't go get Dee as his alliance. Dee came to him. That's all I want to say. That was Dee's doing. And I do think she deserves just a little bit of accolades for that. That's all I'm saying. What he did was incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying Dee started that. And so I thought that was very strategic from her coming. And that, well, because even Rizzo said in one of his confessionals, like, I went to Dee and I did this. No, you didn't. She came to you. It still worked out. I'm just saying, like, that's all.
I'm just amazed that out of all the people coming on this island with targets on their back, the easiest one we've been told in this story in the editing is the one that they don't know anything about. That Jeff has mentioned it 7 times that they filmed 49. No one knows who these people are. Savannah stood no chance. Like when Savannah was on that island, as soon as they went to tribal, it was so easy to say, Savannah, I'm so sorry. Like we just can't, for whatever reason, it's so much easier to let you go. And Savannah's arguably the stronger player when it comes to tribal challenges and those early things where you need strength out there. Savannah's excellent. She's one of the most physical people on that island. And they still were like, it's just an easy vote. Sorry, Savannah, it's just easy. This Rizzo vote should have been easy. This Rizzo vote should have been like, listen, you're 25 years old. So happy to have you. It's so much easier to let you go. I'm going to protect myself. Kamilla, Dee, I'm going to protect myself. Jonathan, Cirie, Rick, that's fine. You're not coming after me, anyone but me. They could have Sandra'd this to the end. And yet still, Rizzo found a way out of this hole. And it harkens back to 49, where suddenly Nate gets blindsided and sent home, and the Tres Leches 3 begins, but they're down 6-3, and how do they get out of this? And again, Rizzo starts throwing his idol around and doing crazy Rizzo things and keeps on surviving. And I'm wondering if we're going to get another Rizzo-like run here, because again, the editors have painted a picture with this season. They've dropped breadcrumbs throughout the beginning of what we're about to see, and they've been dropping breadcrumbs at like, this Rizzo kid thinks he's a legend. He keeps on talking about how he juggled an idol. He has an idol. Keep paying attention to Rizzo. Like, I'm just saying, the editing is telling us a story here, and I do think Rizzo might have a little bit of a run in him, and that nothing would make me happier.
Oh, if he could do the same thing with that idol 2 seasons in a row, that's insane. That's insane. And I mean, the fact that he got away with it the first time was insane. If he could do that again, if he can hold this idol in his pocket for as long as he possibly can while people know about it, and I am so impressed by him. I'm so happy he's still here, because he really does just kind of blow my mind all the time, and the way that he does things, and just like you said, the bravado is such a perfect word for him. Like, to just have so much confidence, like all the time, is really inspiring and admirable. And like sometimes I watch him and I'm like, yeah, I should have a little bit more Rizzo in my day-to-day life. Like, who cares? I'm amazing. Screw everyone else. I'm perfect. Like,
who do you think,
fantastic.
To wrap this up, who again, Rizzo just went God mode. He took out Charlie. Who do you think is angrier? Charlie the day after season 46, or Charlie the day after he gets eliminated from season 50?
Oh, 46 for sure. I mean, I think I think it has to be, because that wound is still why he's out today. So
that's what I'm saying. I think he's laying in bed in Ponderosa and realizing I let 46 bleed into 50. This was my opportunity to avenge. How could I be so dumb? It is very interesting. We keep speaking about edits in this podcast, but to wrap it up, it is very interesting because I just watched Winners at War not that long ago for the first time. It became my favorite season because of how I watched all of these survivors. It was the final chapter of this novel I had been reading for 40 weeks. And to see how season 40 is handled, where really even the first boots, every single person is handled with such grace and dignity that even when Amber's on that exile island, whatever it's called, Redemption Island, Extinction Island, sorry, how could I forget the worst gimmick in Survivor history? Even when Amber's there, she's talking in confessionals to camera about how strong and how lovely her family is and how much she's grown from Survivor. They show Ethan. He can't complete a challenge. He's battling through cancer and coming back, and him and Parvati have a beautiful moment together. And they're showing these characters with such grace and dignity and really building every one of them up, even though some of them really fail in this game. Like they don't make it as far as they want to in this Winners at War. In season 50, a lot of these stars are dimming in the way that they're playing out here. Like, I think of Charlie as less of a player now because of what happened on season 50. And the edit clearly shows you why Charlie went out. It shows you why players like Mike White, like Angelina went out. And we're seeing, it's not trying to tell you this story in a negative light, but it's showing you, it's not holding anything back with saying, this is why Charlie got out and it's of his own doing. Like, whereas the season 40 stuff, they made it a point to make sure everyone left with rose-colored glasses as they were leaving. So I'm interested to see if this continues as the game continues. Like when Aubry versus Genevieve happens, are we going to think less of one of the players that loses because of how they lose against another great player? So I'm interested to see how this kind of changes because it's a very open showcase in the editing.
It's just going to be different with any season where you're having returning players, specifically with some winners, because we as audience members have expectations now. We're not just watching people we don't know. We have expectations for how these people should play, the mistakes they should fix from the past, the ghosts that haunt them. And we know all this information about them now. So it's like, there is this expectation. We're holding them to a higher standard because they're supposedly the best of the best. They're coming back and returning, and we all already know this information on them. So yeah, I will be very curious to see the rest of the edits because I do think we're seeing certain people in different lights. We're seeing certain people in the exact same light, and that'll just be interesting to see the progression of that, especially with, I feel like the fire is going to be lit under the ass of Survivor because we have such little time left that it's like things are going to really start rocking and rolling, and people are either going to hold it together and really excel, or they're going to unravel and we're just going to see them fall to pieces.
Speaking of rapid fire, we need to make some rapid fire predictions for the next episode. Bailey, I think we should play a little game here. Because as we saw, we're going to have a merge in big air quotes, but there's still 17 people. I doubt we're going to go to 16. I think we're going to have multiple eliminations. I think we're going to split into some tribes, and they'll all be competing in the same immunity challenge, but only one of them survives, and everyone goes to tribal. I think we get 3 people ousted here in this episode. So I would like to go one after the other. You go first, I'll go second. We're each going to name 3 names that we believe get eliminated. We cannot pick the same person. Whoever gets the most right wins this little challenge. So up first, Bailey, who's the first player on your this person gets eliminated team?
Just when I'm looking at the numbers, I think maybe with this new swap, Rick Devens might be in trouble. I think he might. And this is pre-swap. I don't know what the merge is going to look like, so I'm just thinking of how the tribes are now. And I think Rick Devens might be in a little bit of a precarious situation after last episode.
I agree. And I do think we're going to start to get some swap screwed moments if they are swapped into 3 different places. And that's why my first pick is going to be Chrissy. I don't think she's made many friends on this island. And if she gets away from Coach and Colby, she could be out alone. Bailey, what's number 2?
I think I'm still going to have to go with Christian. I just think he has such a target on his back, and he has survived over and over and over again, but I don't think there's any way he lasts until the end or even until half.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been the narrator of this whole season for us. Like, he has truly been a major focus of this season, and I just don't think that's going to be sustainable for the entire show.
Number 2 for me, this is a sad one, but it was hinted at, and I do think we might have a medical evac of Colby and whatever is going on with his foot. I am a little bit worried about that. I didn't like hearing that. He sat out a challenge. Colby sat out a challenge, and that's because his foot is really bothering him, and he is a very, very old man, Bailey. So I'm getting Colby as my second person. Bailey, what's number 3?
This is kind of a random one, but if we are thinking merge, I think maybe Jonathan would have a target on his back. If they're thinking we're about to start getting into individual immunity, they're going to have to start looking at Jonathan before we get to that point. And again, he's now kind of on the outs, so he was a little blindsided at last tribal. So again, just kind of out of left field, but I think it would be smart to start looking at Jonathan.
And my third pick will be less of a pick and more of a plead. Get Emily Flippin off of Survivor 50. But that is it for Survivor Squared for this episode. For Tony Squares, for Bailey Buffs, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, help this channel grow. Again, if you're in the OC area, head to a Shaheen watch party. It is an absolute blast. And look forward into some potential giveaways that we are giving on this show. We got a couple of fun things coming up and a fun guest coming up on Survivor Squared. Cannot wait for it to continue. But until then, Bailey, don't let your past haunt you. That's all I got to say.